Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw that the market was fairly balanced, but at this point, heading into the open, the responsive buyers are a bit more dominant, and for that reason, we are going to continue to favor the long side as long as ES is holding above the 44 quarter to 46.75 initial support, and as long as we aren't seeing any very clear-cut signs that we are getting broad market selling. So as long as we're not seeing any sustained downside momentum and a quite weak advanced decline with the Russell also selling off, we can continue to favor the upside and look for a move back up towards the 56.5 to 58.5. That is the immediate resistance above. If we can break out above that zone, that would bring the 63 to 65 area into play. Bigger picture, that is a decent area of resistance. We've already tested it yesterday. So at this point, as we go back up, if we are going back up on broad market strength and decent underlying momentum and sustained upside momentum, then we may not really get much of a reaction at 63, 65 anymore. There's still potential to go higher into the open gap at 69 and the resistance zone at 70 to 72.5. And then that's an area where responsive sellers can still be fairly active around the 70, 72.5 and 74 quarter naked VPOC. So off the open, we just have to make sure that we're not seeing any excessive signs of weakness. And as long as that's the case, we can look to enter long on pullbacks into support. We have the previous VPOC and close at 49 quarter and 49. And even that area is a level that can be used to lean on as an entry point on the long side, as long as, again, we're not seeing any very clear-cut signs that are indicating a complete failure in either the other markets or the S&P. So at this point, the volume situation is about average. We're not getting any, very high volume, but volume is not related to the directionality of the market. It really only correlates to the range potential of the market. So if the volume is running lighter, then it might be a good idea to take profit at 63.65. If we're seeing some better volume and broad market strength, then it's probably better to hold for a move into the 69 gap and 70 to 72.5. And then on the daytime frame, there could still be a short setup off of 70 to 72.5 or the 74 quarter naked VPOC, depending on how we approach that zone and depending on just the level of momentum and the type of strength we're seeing across the other markets. If it's clearly a directional day, then it doesn't really make sense to take a mediocre short. Now, on the downside, in the event that we break below the 44 quarter to 46.75, that would be a good indication that now sellers are taking over. And below that, we have the overnight low, 43. Yesterday's low at 41.5. Those are kind of the final spots. But if the market is going to head higher, it should hold above the 44 quarter to 46.75. And for that reason, if we break below that zone, it could result in further liquidation down into the 36.38 and possibly 28 to 30 half support zone. The 36.38 is an area where we need to be careful because it is directly below the recent range, yesterday's low, the overnight low. So if we are liquidating on heavy downside momentum, then it's probably a better idea to not fade 36.38. But the 28 to 30 half zone and the 24.25 area, those are still support zones where responsive buyers can be active on first test. And that means that if you are short, good idea to cover into it. At the same time, it can provide a long setup on the day time frame, if nothing else, just for a reaction. But right now, heading into the open, the focus is going to be more on the long side until we see very clear signs that the market is failing up here and it can result in a bigger move going lower. But as long as we're not seeing any clear weakness and overall the market's holding up well, then the market could simply be basing here at initial support for a move back up to 63.65 and 70 to 72.5. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain this short-term strength, and we'll take it from there.